Hey, how's it going? Happy Saturday. How's everyone doing today? Man, I'll start with the weather. I usually start with the weather because everybody can relate to the weather, at least here in the U.S. So we've had a really hot week here for most of the Midwest. I think the Pacific Northwest has had it pretty nice all week, nice and cool. But if you're in the Midwest, it's been hot. Whoa, there we go. Hey. Techno, man, 12 months, 1 year. Thank you so much, dude. Thank you. And HomeLab New, I'll go here too. While I'm at it, HomeLab New, resub 11 months, 7-month streak. Dude, thank you so much. What's up, man? What's up, guys? Man, thank you for the continued support. Man, Techno, 1 year, HomeLab New, almost 1 year. Whoa, thank you so much. But yeah, as I was saying about the weather, it's been hot. It's been hot if you're in the Midwest. It's been hot if you're in the South and even the Northeast. But man, Pacific Northwest has had it nice all week. And it's continuing to be hot. I think at least here in the Midwest, it broke a little bit. So it's not as hot, but I think it's going to get hot again. Man, summer came really, really early. This is like late summer weather for us at least. So hopefully you're enjoying the weather. I didn't check in on the weather for the rest of the world, but hopefully you're having good weather. How's everyone doing? Happy Saturday. Wow, Hype Train. Jen Orion has resubbed. Dude, thank you so much. Prime, 8 months, dude. 8 months already? Oh my gosh, all these huge numbers. Thank you so much. And Brian Weber, dude, thanks for the 100 bits cheer. Thank you so much. Thank you. Hi and hello. How's it going? Man, intro hype. I love it. Thank you so much. But man, what have you guys been working on? I know that I've been working on quite a bit. You guys as well. I see it in Discord. I see it on Twitter. I see what you guys are talking about and what you're interested in. Lot of action in Discord. A lot of people talking. I love it. I know I don't say a ton, but I lurk all the time. You see, I'm always on. I'm always connected when I can. But a lot of things going on for me. It's been just a lot of maintenance, getting caught up on a lot of stuff, at least tech-wise in my home lab. A lot of patches, trying to automate some patching, trying to automate some of my code patching too. I don't know if that's the greatest idea, but things like GitHub and this thing called Snick or Snike. I don't know how it's pronounced. I think Snick, but basically have these kind of PR requests. These like Dependabot on GitHub that can open PR requests on your code if it detects any vulnerabilities in any of the packages that you're using. I use that, but I also use GitLab, and so I've kind of been looking at a self-hosted option too, because GitHub bought Dependabot, and that's part of GitHub's features. And I use GitLab, and for self-hosted folks, we can't use Dependabot. So there's some other things out there. I think there's a couple of good ones. But anyways, so that's kind of what I've been doing. Is just less. I want to do less maintenance and more automated maintenance. I just want to approve things versus doing things, if that makes sense. Just like when you would patch Windows, if you're a Windows system administrator, just approve some patches. Yep, these are good. Go. Rather than running Windows updates on everything. But you guys know what I mean. But yeah, let me know what you guys have been working on. I like I said, a bunch of random stuff, but I love to hear what you guys are working on. That's the question that I pose to you guys every Saturday, because I love to hear. I get inspired too, and I'm not gonna lie. Like my next video is coming, but after that, I'm kind of like, what's next? Usually I have this huge backlog of things I do. I have a huge backlog, but things that I'm either doing or going to do next, and I'm kind of getting close to the end of like that backlog, the to-do backlog. The others are just kind of like maybe kind of idea stuff. So if you guys have ideas, throw it at me too. So really quick, let's see. So before we started, there was a follow. Waka Luka, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. And then we had Crazy Mink, just follow, thanks for the follow, appreciate it, welcome. Mac HD, thanks for follow, appreciate it. Noman, Chic, that's what it is. Thanks for follow, appreciate it, welcome. Craven, dude, how's it going? Craven, how you been? Resub Prime 9 months, dude. Craven, how are you, man? How's it going? How have you been? Haven't seen you in a while. Hope you're doing well. Hope things are good. But yeah, let me know what you guys are working on. Like I said, I got a ton going on, but mine's all boring stuff. Boring stuff. The cool stuff I put in videos, the other stuff is just like, I feel like it's just one endless list of things to do. And then from those things, I get inspired and try to capture it and share it with you guys. So interested in what you guys are working on. I will say hard stop at 4-ish. Hard stop at 4-ish. Around 4 Central. So the stream's going to be about an hour long. I'm going to try to keep it to an hour every time. I know people don't have time to camp out all the time, and everyone's on different time zones, and either some people have to eat dinner or go to sleep or do things. So I'm going to try to keep them to 1 hour and trying to be good about starting on time and ending on time. So let's do this. So who was here first? I know who was here first because I was in here testing my bot. Mafney. And Mafney was actually testing my bot too. I appreciate it. Thank you. How's it going, Mafney? Good to see you. Homeland New. Woot woot. How's it going? Sorry. Ilude. My eyes. I say this every time, but I should increase the font. I'm not going to do it now because I'll mess something up. Ilude. How's it going, man? How you doing? Homeland New. Stream Hype. How's it going? How are you, dude? IOPS. 34S. I'm going to go with IOPS 34S. Hi, how's it going? Mafney woot woot indeed. Yeah. Homeland New was finally first. No. That was a question. Was I finally first? No. I keep forgetting that you guys can't see history. So Twitch turned on history for, I think, mods and channel owners. And I just assume everyone can see the history so everyone knows who's first. But nope, Mafney was first. I think Mafney is pretty close to holding a record or tied with the PC Geek for who's in here first. Right, my Fi, how's it going? How you doing? Takano, heyo, how's it going, Takano? How you doing, man? How you doing? Hype train emote. All right, I'll share that. Why not? How are you, Takano? Hopefully everything's going okay. Homeland New heading back into the United States, heading back to the US for Dose 2 tomorrow. Nice. Hopefully no more brutal delays. Yeah, you had a delay that was like a half a day or something crazy, or flying back to Dallas because toilets didn't work on a plane or something. So crazy, so crazy. I skipped one. Joseph, how's it going? Hey everyone, Techno Tim, how are you today? I'm doing pretty good. Busy as usual. I think everyone is. Busy this morning. I'm going to be busy in the afternoon. I almost went live early. I was going to just test it out and go live at 1 o'clock Central today because I have some things to do this afternoon. I thought, well, I'll go live a little bit earlier, but it didn't. Anyways, that's totally an aside. But there might be times where I go live early. I'll try to let you guys know in Discord ahead of time. But today I was going to sneak one in super early and just see who showed up. But it didn't happen. So who knows? Ilude, fingers crossed for you. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Homeland New doesn't have the greatest luck with flights, but I mean, he's flying all the time. US, UK, back and forth all day long. He's a jet setter. Ilude, Mega Desk designing. I saw your Mega Desk, man. You're going to compete with Wendell on his Mega Desk. Makes me jealous. I've been reconsidering my desk now, even though I just kind of upgraded my whole setup in my desk not too long ago, within a year, which is pretty recent. For desk upgrades, I think, because once you have a desk and you have it the way you want, you just kind of keep it. And after seeing yours, I'm getting a little jealous. I think at some point I'm going to go with a gigantic monitor like Wendell has too, right in the center. Because I have 2 portrait mode monitors on each side, 1440p. I think they're 30-inch, 32 possibly, but they're in portrait mode. And I want another monitor that can fill the portrait mode of each side. But anyways, I saw you got your new keyboard adjuster. I don't even know what it's called. Actuator? Is that even a word? But it looks pretty sweet. Joseph K. Farelli. I just spun up Portainer on top of Open Media Vault. Nice. Yeah. How's Open Media Vault? Everyone always shortens that. OMV. How is it? I'm sure it's fine. Sure, it's awesome. I think I spun it up a long time ago when I was evaluating storage options. I wanted to see what it's all about. I didn't want to just like look at the pictures and say, yeah, that's not for me. I wanted to try it out, and it was actually pretty good. I was totally influenced though by all the TrueNAS or FreeNAS at the time, storage solutions that were out there. But Open Media Vault is a fine product, and Techno Dad, I think that's his name. Techno Dad, he does a ton of Open Media Vault stuff. I see him when I would search for anything to do with NAS stuff, he would always come up. The Quantum Penguin. Good afternoon, everyone. How's it going? Home Lab New. Just getting ready for my new job. Nice, dude. Nice. Care to share what your title is or what industry you're in? Let me know. Zoe, I just did my first teardown of a laptop today. I accidentally broke the built-in screen, so now I might just use it as desktop-ish computer kind of thing. Oh man. Oh, that stinks. Why'd you tear it down? Just to see what was inside, to upgrade the RAM, fix some stuff. Add a different hard drive. I've done that a couple times. It's not fun. I've done a laptop teardown. I don't even know. I'm going to say 4 or 5 times. I did it for an old laptop that I had because you had to install like more RAM. You basically had to take the whole thing apart. And then I did it on a couple others. It is not fun at all. I think one time I didn't break the screen, but I like ripped the ribbon that the screen attaches to the motherboard, and it's just toast after that. Like there's no fixing that. There's just either find the part or buy a new one. But yeah, that's tough. I honestly, like, I don't get me wrong, like I love laptops, but I kind of hate them at the same time. Well, I hate to work on them. I guess I should say that, because I don't know. Maybe Apple's on the right track with not wanting you to open them up and replace things. But at the same time, I don't think that's the answer either. But yeah, it's tough. Laptops are tough. I honestly hate working on them. Anytime anyone in my family is like, hey, I got this laptop, it's not working, I'm just like, oh, here goes nothing. I'm going to take 30 screws out and take a keyboard out the weird way and look in and reseat the RAM and maybe throw in some old RAM, different hard drive, put it all back together and still have 4 screws left over. Or you put it all back together and there's 1 screw in there and you hear it, and it's not fun. Don't get me wrong, I love doing that stuff, but laptops very low on the list of things I like to put back together. I'll put it that way. Zoe, I'm going with Zoe. Cool, Home Lab New, cool, yeah, new job. All right. Yeah, look at all this. Sudo. Yeah, I love it. Emotes. The Quantum Penguin. Building on a Kubernetes cluster using 4 Raspberry Pis. Nice. So I assume they're Pi 4s and a cluster of 4. That's pretty awesome. And they're all, you're running plain old Kubernetes, you're running Rancher, Portainer, probably K3S. Probably K3S on top of there. I'm guessing. I'm gonna guess your infrastructure. It's gonna be 4 Pi 4s, all 8 gigs, K3S installed, and then in a cluster. 4 of them. That's an interesting choice of numbers. You must have just had 4, or did you choose 4? Usually people go 3, but 4 is not bad. It gives you an extra, I guess, worker or agent to run some workloads. Or no, actually no. That 4 is actually the number. Well, depending on if you're doing etcd or MySQL, because on I think on MySQL you technically only need 1. And then 1 to run, I'm blanking, to be your master, basically, and then 3 to run your workloads. But if you're doing etcd, then you'll need 3 and then 1 to be your worker. So either way, 4 is a good number. I don't know what I'm talking about today. Tor Kamata, there we go. Terraform on-prem vSphere via Jenkins pipeline with Ansible and messing with Packer for managing vSphere templates. And yes, it's hot as hell here in Michigan. It's so 1, that's awesome. Terraform, done a tiny bit with it. Basically a hello world Terraform. I don't even know what it's called. It's not a pipeline, but it's a config, I guess, in YAML. Done it once before. It's pretty cool. Like, I love the idea. I'd love to be able to do some more of that. But then you're deploying a Jenkins pipeline with Ansible and messing with Packer. That is interesting. I haven't done anything with Packer either. Sounds awesome. And yes, hot in Michigan. Yeah, it's been hot all over Midwest. We're not used to this type of weather this early. And a lot of power outages too. I think either related to storms and increased power usage from all the heat. It's been pretty crazy around here. It has been. Home Lab New, brutally hot here in the UK and no air conditioning. Oh man, that's rough. Yeah, it's rough. I've done that. Most of my childhood life. We didn't have air conditioning. It was bad. And then when I moved here to Minneapolis, I didn't have AC in these old buildings that I lived in, these apartments. It was rough. It was really rough. Third floor, brick building, 100 degrees out. Oh, I finally broke down, I think, on year 3 and bought a window unit and put it in the bedroom. And then I would just camp out there all night. Got caught up on a lot of Zelda, a lot of games during the summers when I lived in my apartment, because that was the only place I can go. Or I would just go to Target just because I wanted to cool off, or go watch a movie so I could sit in air conditioning. Yeah, it's tough. But yeah, hope you get through it. Hope it cools off a little bit. Brian Weber, hi and hello. Oh, the bits. Thank you so much. Thank you. Let's see. Join the Discord. Yeah, thank you. Mac HD. Could you do Othalia and Grafana tutorial next? Interesting. So I assume you want to put you want to put Grafana behind Auth. I'd have to look at it. I forget how their Auth is structured. I mean, I assume they have basic Auth built in that you authenticate to Grafana, and then you want to put Othalia in front of that. Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be oversimplifying, because I don't know what it looks like. I mean, I run Grafana here, but I haven't put it behind Othalia yet, so I should probably do that. But I don't expose it publicly either. But anyways, that's besides the point. I can take a look for sure, because it should be as simple as just like that video made it out to be. If you're using it, if it's containerized on the same machine, you just add some labels to that container, and then Othalia will pick it up, or technically that workload will refer to the middleware that's hosted on the same machine, and make sure you're authenticated before you can access it. Or if it's not on the machine, you just basically create a route, create middleware, and you say, hey, in order to access this route, you have to apply this middleware first. And so that's how I that's how I've done mine, for sure. Geekmasher, Risa, Prime, 2 months. Love the content. After watching your videos, I'm building out more in my current lab. Nice. What are you building? Nice. Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm gonna try to keep the content flowing. Like I said, I'm getting to the end of my to-do list, and now it's going to be creative things that I need to do or makeup work to do, because I mean, fingers crossed, but my stuff's working pretty good. I've had V1, V2 of my infrastructure, this plan of V1 and then V2. I'm at the end of V2. I almost feel like I need a V3. So I have some major upgrades to do, but no major upgrades planned so far, at least hardware. But yeah, thank you so much, Geekmasher. Appreciate it. But yeah, as far as Othalia and Grafana, yeah, it should be, like I said, if you're doing it on the same machine, you add a label to that container. If it's on another machine or wherever, hosted somewhere else that's not on that same machine, then you just add a route and add the middleware. That should be it. The only, I guess, gotcha, and it's not really a gotcha, is that you'll have to figure out authentication or how to pass that host header or share auth between Othalia and other systems. And that's something I guess I should have been a little bit more clear on. A couple of people have asked, and so I think I should address that. I think I had 5 or 6 people ask, how I was able to authenticate Proxmox to Othalia. And that's basically what it comes down to. And totally an aside, but anytime I get the same question 5 or 6 times, that's where I know that, I skipped over something, or I glossed over something, or I didn't explain something well enough. So I really appreciate it. So if you ever hesitant to ask the same question in the YouTube contents, just ask it, or comments, just ask it, because I see those. And when I see the same types of questions, that's where I know that I have some problems. And I'm just saying, don't assume, oh, well, this one person asked, so I'm not going to ask. Feel free to ask away. So anyways, I kind of glossed over that piece or went over it a little bit faster than I should have, and I probably should have explained that you're going to have to do a little bit more, configuration to pass host headers from Othalia to Proxmox. And in my video, I had a session already, and that's why I didn't have to log in the second time, because traditionally, you know, Athalia is going to be your middleware to provide to make sure you're authenticated before you get to the second system. And then the second system then might prompt you for credentials as well, because it has its own internal authentication system. And that's something I should have explained a little bit more clearly. Maybe this feeds into why you're asking about Grafana and Athalia. So I should look into it for sure. Tech with Andrew. Hey, resub, Prime, 3 months. Great to finally catch a live stream. Dude, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for the sub. Appreciate it. Welcome. And yeah, glad you're here. Glad you're here. Let me know if you have any questions. Let's see. But anyways, I went on for a while about that, but I felt like I had a little bit of explaining to do, I guess I should say, because so many people asked it, and I was like, oh man, I totally missed the mark. If I would have just spent 5 seconds just explaining what I did in a more condensed version of what I just gave, it probably would have went over a little bit easier for people, or not caused headaches, or not think that there's some kind of magic that I did that that they need to do as well. So anyways, thank you for the host of Zero. Yeah, I need to, I say this every time, and you guys pointed out, mods pointed out, like, hey, sometimes my bot messages are odd. I think I'm going to get rid of a lot of them altogether here soon, just so it just doesn't clutter up chat. Homebam New also finally sorted out cable management on my desk. Nice, dude. Dude, I saw it. Your desk looks very familiar. Your desk looks almost exactly like mine. I think you have the same legs. You have a different piece of wood because you have the rounded corners edges. You put your controls for standing and sitting on the right. I put mine on the left just because I don't want to ever bump into it, and I exit this way. So I was like, oh, I'll put it on the left just in case, I don't know, pants get caught on it. I was just making this up as I did it. And then I think you even have underneath your cable management is that IKEA cable management rack. And if it is, that is hands down the best. I won't show you what mine looks like. Mine literally has, I think, 3 surge protectors, 5 to 10 wall warts, just so many cords, USB hubs. Like, it's so gnarly. Like, I don't even want to show it to people, but sometimes I do because I'm like, I'm pretty proud that I got all of that stuff in there, but there's absolutely no way for me to organize that nicely. Anyways, I'm a huge fan. If you did use the IKEA cable management rack that you basically screw into the wood, a huge fan of that. Huge fan, because you just get this huge basket that's as wide as your desk, and you can just throw everything into it. Throw everything into it. But I'm a huge fan because before that they're all just dangling. At least now the rat's nest is like tucked up together and not just a dangling rat's nest. It's more compact, but it's one with the desk now. There's no removing one cable easily anymore. It's just one big mass. Little Falco, hey, thanks for follow. Appreciate it. I feel like I'm getting a little bit of cold. I'm a little bit stuffed up. But yeah, desk looks nice. Looks so much like mine. White legs, standing desk, and then the plain. Well, I have mine's almost like a cutting board. I don't know, a chop block or a block type desk. Yours looks very familiar, but that piece of wood, you have rounded corners. I like it. Mine aren't rounded. Let's see. Automate all the things I loot. Yeah, for sure. I've been trying to. I need to set up auto updates on my LXC containers. Yeah, good call. Yeah. Speaking of updates, yeah, I was talking about that a little bit earlier. Yeah, I was always like, I have automatic updates on for most of my stuff. So I shouldn't, when I was talking about updates earlier, I have auto updates on for most of my stuff, but then I still run like a lot of one-off updates for things. Like I run my Ansible playbook to update all my machines every now and then just because I'm bored. But yeah, for the most part, I have auto updates turned on, at least for security patches, and then feature ones or bigger ones, I don't. I like to kind of do those on my schedule versus like 4 a.m. and wake up and everything's broken. Not that that's really happened ever. It's just this fear that I have that, maybe I should only do security patches so it gets those right away. But my code is totally different. Code is with code and containers, I should say too, containers have the same problem. They're all a point in time, and so you're running code that has code in it or dependencies. that are a point in time. It's yesterday, it's today, it's this morning, it's last week. And the same with containers, even more so. They're built on top of a base OS or a base container, which is an OS, which has a base layer of dependencies that could have vulnerabilities tomorrow, but you released it today. So containers are super hard. I don't want to say hard, but they have their own patching strategy too. And you basically have to rebuild the container. So that's another thing that like I've been trying to kind of automate. Like I try not to patch my containers every time I release them, just because it takes so long to build for my code pipeline. But I'm trying to migrate to shared images that I can patch once, and then the next time they build, they'll get the latest patch version of that image and go out that way. And then I only have to update one image every so often. Then the next time my code deploys, it'll use that image. But that takes some coordination too. It takes a lot of coordination and a lot of, I guess, foresight and planning, which is what I've been doing now. Zoe, yo Tim, is it possible to spin up VMs on Open Media Vault like on TrueNAS? I tried to figure out how, but I didn't find out anything. Good question. I don't know the answer to that. I thought Open Media Vault had virtualization support. I'm guessing it does, or maybe it wouldn't be as popular. I could be wrong though. I could be wrong. I'm going to say yes. I should Google it, but I usually don't open browsers during the stream because I totally get lost in what I'm doing. I want to say yes. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just making a bet. Otherwise, I don't think it would be as popular. I could be wrong though. Sorry, give me 1 second. Let's see. Home Lab New, Techno Tim, something of a side question for you. How much are you doing with your home lab? Do you end up doing at your company? Do processes and technologies you establish in your home lab also find up? So let me read this properly. Do processes and technologies you establish in your home lab end up also finding their way into your company? Yeah, great question. Great. I feel like I'm in an interview. Yeah, great question. I would say absolutely yes. I think it goes both ways. There are things I figure out or someone else figures out at work, and I'm like, hey, that's either a great pattern, a great strategy, or a great fix, or a great feature. And I'm like, yeah, I'm totally going to do that at home now. And, I apply it to my home lab. And then there are other times where I'm ahead of work, where I'm like, okay, I want to, basically what I was talking about earlier, patching using shared images for Docker containers, and then using those for build containers, and then using those at build time. There are times when I figure out things at home, and I bring them into work. It happens quite a bit. I won't go too much into work, but just in general, with people moving to Kubernetes and Kubernetes switching off Docker, a lot of people have had to find a different Docker build system, like Canico, for instance. And I switched over all my builds to Canico at home. I'd probably say 6-8 months ago, maybe 9, just because it was fun and because I wanted to learn about it. And I was like, hey, if this is going to be a drop-in replacement for a Docker build, Google's Canico container build system seemed like a good fit. And so I did that at home, and I've been running it for 9 months. And then all of a sudden it came up at work where we needed to switch out some of our build processes. And I was like, hey, I'm using Canico at home, already figured it out. Here's the configuration. Here's copy and paste YAML. Boom, and just dropped it in, 30 repos, whatever. So yeah, it 100% goes both ways. And I think that's, I'm very fortunate that the things I work on at home, I can apply, also at work. Because a lot of people do home labbing as a hobby. I mean, it's a hobby for me. It's not my full-time job to do infrastructure work, and I won't even say that all home labbing is infrastructure, but because it crosses a lot of boundaries, especially into self-hosting and storage and hardware and a lot of things. But fortunately, I'm in a position where I work at a small company. We have a very small team, and so we just have a lot of autonomy and a lot of say in what we do. I know that's not always the case with a lot of people, but yeah, it does cross over quite a bit. And I do also code quite a bit at home. And so that's something that definitely crosses over for sure. And that goes both ways. We figure out something at work with a library, with how we structure of code or some pattern. And I'm like, yeah, I'm totally going to use this pattern at home or vice versa, and working at the small company when it started up, there weren't a lot of patterns established. So when I got there, it was just like, okay, it's going to be my pattern, because we didn't have a ton of them established, but that can change over time. So yeah, absolutely goes both ways. So that's why I love home labbing and doing stuff at home, and then, and vice versa. I get to do some of that at work sometimes, and sometimes the things I learn at home I get to apply at work, and sometimes the things that I learn at work I get to apply at home. I hope you get into that situation too, because it's super fun, especially when when the idea comes up about how to solve a particular problem. You're like, I've done this, I know it. I've done this at home. Here's an option for sure. Home Lab New or iLoot. I can say for me there is a lot of overlap, and knowledge starts in the home lab and moves to production. Yeah, for sure. I most of the time it goes that way for me here too, because this is where I experiment. This is where it's like, my home production isn't serving millions of customers, and I don't have an SLA with with my home. And my wife, I kind of have an SLA, unspoken SLA. But I'm free to experiment here and do whatever I want. And test some things out and just, kind of refine what I'm working on. And then I get to apply it at work. And at work, when I propose it, it's like, hey, this has been running at home. But then they're like, yeah, but usually when I'm like, yeah, I figured this out at home, they're like, yeah, but is your infrastructure, yada, yada, is it the same? Or, you'll get those kinds of questions. But I think if you push for it, it usually makes its way in there. But a lot of people trust me at work. I think maybe. But yeah, great question. Antithonies. Where do you find out about the latest new things? Word of mouth, surfing Reddit. Do you have a go-to source? Latest new things. That one's tough. That's changed over time. So in general, where do I go to hear about news? I mean, like I said, it's changed over time, but it is some subreddits. A lot of it's Twitter too. Twitter has totally tuned their algorithm now to show you things that you're interested in, or things that are relevant to you, or relevant to people who follow you, or vice versa, relevant to people I follow. So a lot of my news lately, at least for tech stuff, comes from Twitter a lot, because I open it up as someone's talking about certain technology or certain change, or a conference, or, whatever. And I learn about it that way. Another thing is Discord too. A lot of people love to share things on Discord. I learn a ton. And a lot of it is I guess, tech news worthy. Not huge headline type stuff, but new technologies in general. You hear about those on Discord. And other than that, I mean, I don't have like websites other than Reddit that I go to where I'm just like, okay, let's start browsing and perusing. I mean, every now and then, when I want to hear about what Apple talked about at the WWDC, I'll go to The Verge and I'll be like, give me the 5-minute version of everything they talked about, because they usually do those super, hyper condensed versions of big announcements. And I don't have time to watch 2 hours of an Apple announcement. But the same for, Google, Microsoft, Apple. I usually look for the super condensed version from The Verge or something like that, only because I know that it's going to be well produced and well covered there. Gaming kind of the same way. I mean, gaming, I don't know. I just pop open Steam or Epic Games or Blizzard and see what's latest out there. But tech-wise, yeah, it's a combination of all those things. I wish there was one source, but I kind of like that there's not, because I get a lot of opinions, like them or not, and a lot of perspectives from using a couple of different sources. But yeah, good question. Torkamata, rebuilt my lab using vSphere to match what we have at work. All right, this feeds into what we were just talking about. I do use a swappable SSD docks, so when I'm done with coding on vSphere, Terraform, Ansible, Jenkins, Artifactory, I slap them in my Proxmox for KVM SSDs for home environment. Nice to be able to swap from KVM to vSphere and back to KVM. That's super interesting. I didn't even know that you could do that. So that's super interesting. how are those drives formatted? Or are you saying you can swap them in and out, no problem? Just start up each hypervisor and it's fine? Or do you have to rebuild the whole environment? But super, super interesting. iLoot, Reddit, YouTube, and Discord. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, forgot about YouTube. Yeah, YouTube's where I do get some news too. That's true. That is true. I totally missed out on that one. But yeah, YouTube. For the most part, a lot of announcement type things and tech I hear about before YouTube, and then I go to YouTube to kind of get someone else's perspective on it. But yeah, absolutely, good call. Super Jim Photography. I got a 43 and 130 that I use as my daily drivers. Nice. I got a 43 and a 30 as my daily drivers. I need more context. Super Jim Photography. Let me know. Home Lab New, that's pretty awesome. Hopefully you'll be able to do the same for my work. Yeah, for sure. Home Lab New, title is Cloud Security Engineer. All right, man. Congratulations. Yeah, I'm sure you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. I mean, that's everything you've been studying for. I think the last at least 9 months or a year, and probably before that. Letnik, how do you guys monitor all your disk and host at your home lab? Yeah, great question. Yeah, that one's tough. Yeah, I see that Zoe threw in TrueNAS, and that's fair if you're only using TrueNAS. That's a tough question. Mine's kind of all over the place. I primarily use Proxmox for my VM, and all my VM storage is on Proxmox. And then I use TrueNAS for all of my storage that's not virtual machine storage. And so I have two different places I kind of have to watch. And TrueNAS does a little bit better on alerting and even monitoring of my ZFS pools than Proxmox does. Proxmox, I can check my SSDs and stuff like that, but I don't have alerts set up. I'm guilty of that. I should totally have alerts on there. But you can, I think, export both to something like Grafana we were talking about earlier. And then from there, actually monitor, set up alerts. That's a lot of work, though. I'm not going to lie. That's a ton of work, a ton of custom work that you have to get up and going. Proxmox has a way to export metrics directly to Grafana, I think using InfluxDB. So there's that. And you might get some mileage out of that, and then combine those with your TrueNAS or whatever your storage solutions are. But it's tough. I'm not going to lie. Like most of mine is looking at the source system, which is not fun because I got to look in multiple places. Would be nice to kind of aggregate those and show those somewhere else. I think Grafana is going to be your best bet for that. I could be wrong, but I think so. Chewbaccawa, resub, tier 1, 2 months. Dude, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you. RimeFi, nope, that's point redemption. This is exactly why I was talking about just removing some of these notifications altogether. Letnik, I hear about Zabbix, Libre, NMS, and Nagios. Nagios, the 9, I think that's 9. Oh yeah, good. Yeah, great call. Yeah, good suggestion. Zabbix, I hear a ton about it. I don't know enough about Libre, NMS, but Nagios, Nagio 9, I think that's probably related to Nagios, probably a fork or something, or maybe that's the version. Yeah, great suggestions. I used a ton of Nagios in the past. Really to monitor systems. It would just basically set up the ping monitoring to make sure that systems were up. But yeah, awesome. I think you set up SNMP traps and you might be able to do that. My secure gift, Techno Tim. I had to order a new LCD panel for my sister's laptop. yeah, that stinks. Yeah. Like I said, laptops are not fun to work on. Not fun at all. Anho I got to get this one. I'm just going to go with Anho Laubusi. That's, I'm sorry. Let me know how to pronounce your name. I apologize. I'm messing with Node.js so that I can make a simple JS app and can organize my hobbies. I like it. Yeah. I do a ton of Node.js. I'm a huge fan. I do a lot of JavaScript. I should say that. Arthur, dude, what's up, man? Risa, Prime, 11 months. Oh, yes. What's up, man? How's it going? So I know Arthur outside of social. I know him IRL, but yes. That was our Slack emoji for a long time. How's it going, man? Dude, good to see you, man. I almost called you by a real name. But anyways, how are things? I would say not at the new job because it's not new anymore, but new since I've known you. Job. How's it going? Dude, hope you're well. Anyways, let's see. But messing with Node.js, yeah, huge fan. Do a ton of JavaScript. Ton of TypeScript. I'm a huge fan of Node.js just because I don't know. I think it definitely, I think it's a great platform to build on top of. Arthur would probably tell me no. He'd probably say use Java. He would tell me I'm crazy because I like JavaScript. That's usually how it goes. But yeah, if you want to find something to organize your hobbies, so if you're building it in JavaScript, man, I would say check out Vue or React. It's going to be one, probably the easiest way to get started, and two, the most popular way and the biggest, two of the biggest front end type technologies that you can use right now, with a ton of support, ton of plugins, ton of examples, tons of easy ways to get started. And then I would say, I mean, if you haven't done anything yet, just look for like a to-do app. Everyone has a to-do app when they do front end type stuff. I think React has one, and Vue probably has a to-do app. That's going to give you, 50% of what you need to get started, and you can get started really quick. But yeah, awesome. Let me know if you need some help. Ping me in Discord or wherever. I love that stuff. I was doing React earlier today and doing some Node.js this morning, trying to fix a couple of things. But yeah, or I should say making things better because nothing was really broken. But you guys know how that goes. iLoop, Prometheus, yeah, another good one. Influx, Grafana, Zabbix, popular around these parts. Yeah, for sure. I should have thrown in Prometheus because that's, I guess, the alerting part for there. That's the alerting part that's actually going to give you the actual alerts, and I guess some of the logging too. Salvarius, how's it going? Howdy, folks. How are you? Letnik, iLood, are they agentless? Oh yeah. I think Prometheus is. I can't remember. But yeah, agentless is kind of what you want for a lot of things. But just because you don't want to go, I don't know. It's up to you. But some things I can't install agents on, nor do I want to. But that's totally going to be your call for sure. PC Geek had a bad storm this week with a lightning strike and set off some kind of EMP or something that killed my main network switch, small PoE switch, a cordless phone, and a TV. Yeah, man, I heard in Discord. That's crazy. Hopefully you get it all sorted out. I think you said a USB NIC died too. Man, that's a lot of frying going on. That's unfortunate, especially, I mean, it came through the network, so that stinks. So it totally got fried, man. I hope you figure it out, or hope you get some new decent gear, some replacements. Maybe it's time to upgrade those things. But that's a lot of individual things that died, and that stinks. We had a power outage this week. Nothing fried, but it did corrupt one of my databases. I don't have safe shutdown set up on one of my servers. So when my UPS died, it just went down. It went down, and then one of my databases got corrupted. It was easy to restore. It was actually hard to figure out that it was corrupted because I was running some job, and the job was trying to look for some table, and it kept telling me that table doesn't exist. I'm like, what are you talking about? Yeah, it exists. It's been there for years. And that's when I kind of realized, I'm gonna have to restore from backup, and that's what I did. But yeah, it's tough, man. Hope you get it figured out. Quantum Penguin, 1 Pi for a control node, 3 for workers. All right. We'll be using CLI for now, but eventually Rancher, K3S with etcd, trying to decide what distro to use. Interesting. Yeah, you have a lot of choices. For Raspberry Pi. I went with Ubuntu just because I'm familiar with it. That's what all my other servers are running, but yeah, totally up to you. I think you'll find a lot of good support with Ubuntu if you go that route. But yeah, that sounds awesome. 4 Raspberry Pis in a cluster. You'll have to let me know how that goes. I've never done just a Raspberry Pi cluster. I've added a Raspberry Pi to my existing x86, x64 cluster, my existing Kubernetes cluster. It's kind of interesting having this hybrid cluster of, of beefy, powerful hardware and then one Raspberry Pi. It kind of gets me into trouble sometimes because some of my workloads jump onto it. So I've had to apply some taints. I've had to apply, it ended up being a lot more work than I thought it was going to be to get just one Raspberry Pi. Or I guess I should say this, having one system different in my Kubernetes cluster. It ended up being a lot more work than I thought it was going to be. Just because Kubernetes can schedule workloads on any node at any time if it wants to. And that's what happens. And sometimes, like I would mention before, sometimes my blog that's hosted here is running on my Raspberry Pi. I have no idea, nor do I care. The only time I know is if and the only time you can get in trouble is if all your nodes go down, except for your lowest power device, then all of the workloads try to hop on there. So it's kind of tough to figure out. And that's something you'll have to consider too is, can one node bear the load of all of your workloads if the other nodes go down, or will it just choke? Mine usually chokes. It's so slow and so dog slow that Kubernetes thinks that those pods are unresponsive, and so it'll just keep trying to recreate them. So it's tough. It's tough to figure out when you go that route. But you'll have the same hardware, same infrastructure across those 4 Pi nodes, so you'll be fine. You'll be fine. To kind of gonna head out, but just FYI, Good Old Games and Steam are both having their summer sales currently. Yeah, man, I noticed on Steam yesterday that they were. See you guys. See you, Takano. Man, hope everything's going well, man. Dude, thanks for stopping in. Appreciate it. Mafney, I've tried to set up Pi-hole on Rancher, but it keeps failing. Failed to create pod sandbox. RPC error code equals unknown. Destination rewrite result. Hey, that Mafney, people have had that same problem within in Discord and have talked about it. If you search our Discord for resolve.conf, you'll see it. And I think it's just because of how DNS works. Because either a dependency or you need to change DNS to use resolve.conf. But search our Discord for it, you'll find the answer. If not, ping me and then I'll point you to it, because I think this has come up 3 or 4 times in Discord, and everyone points back to the same answer, and then everyone's like, yes, it finally works. So yeah, let me know. Hey, C-Duix. That's what I'm going with. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. Geek Master, love the content. After watching your videos, I'm building out my, that was on the sub. This is why I need to change my alerts, even though that didn't affect it, but appreciate it, man. Thank you. PC Geek, I think you have to disable DNS stub resolver first on the host. Yeah, that's the answer. PC Geek V3 network is upgrade to 10 gigabit and run fiber in the house. I hear you, man. I totally hear you. Like, don't get me wrong. I want 10 gig. I just don't know if this is the house that I want to do that to. Not that I don't like this house, but we've debated moving for like a year. So I'm just kind of holding out. I keep saying, next house, I'll do this. Next house, I'll do that. And you should see the laundry list of next house things. It's going to be pretty awesome, but we haven't found one yet. So we're kind of like in a holding pattern with, like a lot of people are right now, just because housing supply is super low. Anyways, next house for sure, but I haven't decided yet if I'm going to hear or not. It just depends. I think we need to make some decisions how long we're going to be in this house. But yeah, dude, it sounds awesome. I would love to. That sounds like a fantastic project. I would love to do it. Geek Masher. Currently, I just built out a Threadripper-based server. Nice, dude. First gen CPUs are cheap right now versus any new gen CPUs. I totally want a Threadripper or an Epic for my main workstation. You did it for a server. That sounds super awesome. Congratulations. Sounds fun. What are you going to run on it? I'm sure you're going to run a hypervisor on there and then run some virtual machines, and then from there, what are you going to run? What are you going to host? What are you going to build? What are you going to do? Let me know. Letnik, do you guys use SNMP to monitor your home app? We talked about that a little bit earlier, SNMP and traps, and set those up. I don't personally, other people might, but if you do, let Nick know. Let's see, Quantum Penguin, do you think fiber is overkill? What speeds do you get from your ISP? Yeah, that's tough. PC Geek, I know he has 1 gig down. I know that. He's got me beat though. Tor Kamada, I was thinking about the same. Which one did I get? I think I got the 19X series on sale for under $200. That's a super good deal. Wolf Norik. Hi, Tim. Wanted to share after 1.5 years of learning for DevOps jobs, I had my first interview and it went really well. So thank you for your videos. They helped a lot. Hey, no problem at all. Hey, congratulations, Wolf Norik. Haven't seen your name in a while. Hopefully you get the job. And if not, hopefully you gain some experience from that interview that you can apply to the next interview. I'm happy to help. I'm glad some of my content helped. If you see holes in some of my content, let me know. Or if you have suggestions for content, let me know. Brislop. I'm planning on moving my home lab to a data center in Frankfurt. I'm scared. It's funny you mentioned that because it kind of ties into what I was talking about moving, and this ties into what you're, I guess, talking about is, would I ever host some of my services or my home lab in the cloud, at least temporarily? Gosh, I don't even know. But I'm curious why you're moving to a data center. Is it a cost play? Is it because you need something temporarily, like I was just talking about? Because I'm always curious why people do that. Because cloud costs it varies depending on your workloads, depending on your storage, how much compute you need. For me, I need not a ton of compute, not even really a ton of storage. But I would need a GPU or two, and those are really expensive to get in the cloud. But I'll have to do the same. If I move, I'll probably have a week and a half of temporarily moving stuff to the cloud. That would be awesome content to make. Having basically a hybrid cloud for a little while during the move, so that when I actually pull the plug in my home lab, services that I have that are publicly hosted still continue to run. Hybrid cloud, probably in my future if I can find a home to move to. I have a home now. It's fantastic. Don't worry. Just a new home, I should say that. Creedzim, hey, thanks for follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. But good luck on your data center move. Your home lab to data center move. PC Geek, I was saying for Techno Tim, he could go with 10 gig fiber. Yeah, good for future proofing since OM3 is inexpensive and I can do 100 gigabit too. Yeah, I totally agree, man. I'm right there with you. Home lab new. It did use the IKEA one. All right. Makes sense then. Sitaru. Is there a way to use a PC by two users? Yeah. So I think PC Geek is answering that, but is there a way to use a PC by two users when there's only one user? He uses full PC performance. Yeah. I mean, like PC Geek mentions, hypervisors are going to be the way to go. And even if you didn't have, Windows, to be able to remote in, if you're talking about Windows only, you only get one session on RDP unless you're running a server. Then you can run, terminal services, which gives you multiple sessions for multiple machines. Not what you're talking about, but I was just saying that even if you did have the performance, you'll still have that issue if you're doing it remotely. Yeah, hypervisors is going to be the way to go. I mean, that's the only way to divide up your resources among machines. And then you can even constrain those resources so that one person isn't a noisy neighbor. And you can constrain IOPS, constrain CPU cores, constrain RAM so that they're not a noisy neighbor. And you don't want noisy neighbors in life. Well, I don't mind noisy neighbors. I actually like it. But when you're in a shared cloud environment, and you have multiple tenants, you don't want noisy neighbors. Or even in your own Kubernetes workloads, you don't want noisy neighbors there. If you have one workload that's using, 400% CPU and the other one doesn't have enough CPU, it's a pretty noisy neighbor. So what you want to do is, like PC Geek mentioned, probably use a hypervisor, create virtual machines, and I put resource constraints on them too. So then that one person can't use all of the resources. I got the 1920, very good for 24 threads, nice. They would only get full tilt through the system unless you manually change stuff. Yeah, for sure. I mean, dynamic auto resource management. Yeah, resource constraints, for sure. Very nice. How do you like it? I'm still on a couple old Xeon E3 V2s and looking for an upgrade. I'm sure it's fantastic. You guys are solving that. I use Linux. Yeah, so resource constraints. Look at that. In Proxmox, I think you can constrain your resource. You can lower the RAM. You can lower your CPUs. Give them, if you only have two VMs, divide the threads in half and give 2 to one and 2 to the other. And you can constrain I/O too on disks. Constrain the I/O. I mean, disk is most likely what it's going to be, depending, unless you're doing a ton of compiling or transpiling or transcoding. Most of the time, CPU resources aren't going to be a huge concern. But all things you can do with hypervisors. Anholo, sorry. Here we go. My name is Anhola. I'm going to go with Anhola because that's easier to pronounce. Olabusi. Anhola is pronounced like Angola. All right, Angola. Angola. I'm going to go with Angola. Well, thank you. Now I know the J is not a soft J. It's a hard J. Okay. Angola. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying. Tormakata, to clarify, Techno Tim, I have 2 mid towers that use 2 SATA docks in each, so I can insert a couple of SSDs for Proxmox, say 60 gigs, install the 1 dock and 1 terabyte SSD for the VM data stores on a second dock. Oh, I see what you mean. So I have a pair of SSD for servers, Proxmox, and 2 SSD pairs for each server, ESXi and vSphere. All you have to do is shut down the server, slap in the pairs, power them on, super easy to switch hypervisors. Like I need to match my work, then KVM for my home environment. Yeah, I totally get it now. That's super awesome, man. Super awesome. I've always been trying to figure out like why people would use like USB hard drive docks or cradles, besides for Chia mining. And I'm like, okay, well, this totally makes sense. Yeah, I love it. That's awesome. HomeLab New. Would you consider doing a tutorial for Security Onion, especially if you can figure out how to do full disk encryption? It's kicking my butt, LOL. Maybe. I've looked at Security Onion a couple of times. I just have to see that it's, I just want to make sure that I use it in my environment too. Because most of the things that I cover are things that I usually implement. But yeah, let me give another look at it, see if it's something I can do. PC Geek, I replaced the bad switch with the same model. It was so weird. My UPS went down too, like instant off, but wasn't a power failure, or it would have gone on battery. Yeah, that is super weird. So it must a short or something. Yeah, maybe it was your UPS then. But then, yeah, I like EMP better. Let's stick with EMP. This is why it's good to have symmetrical nodes for multi-node setups for things. Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm gonna go with EMP. I like that. I like that argument better than a surge, because it's if your UPS never switched to battery backup and your network adapters got fried, something came from the inside. Sounds like, or from your UPS on. But then what? Yeah, something came from the inside. Oh, your PoE switch. I bet your PoE switch. Something happened to that. And then things connected to. I don't know. I'm speculating. But the PoE switch is the oddball in here too. Not super odd, but I'm just saying. I'm curious about that, and if that had some kind of short, because you had other devices that got fried too. So interesting. Makes me scared for my environment, because I have PoE switch and I have a lot of devices plugged into my PoE switch that aren't even PoE. I'm sure it's fine. Deflack. I'm going with Deflack. How many hosts are in your Proxmox cluster? I currently have 2 and wanted to see if I can add a low-powered arbiter-only node so that I don't have quorum issues. So if I take a single node down. So Deflack. Great question. I did exactly that. So how many nodes do I have in my Proxmox cluster? I have 3. How many have you guys seen? 2. My 2 1U servers. And for a while, they were the only 2 servers in my cluster. I'm not doing HA. I've never had quorum issues with 2, but that might be because I'm not doing HA, but they still establish quorum or a quorit. And I see it in the logs and I see it in the UI, even with 2. I have heard that people can have problems with quorum. Or establishing quorum, or a leader, I guess I should say. I've never had with 2, and I know that it takes an odd number to reach quorum, but I've never had that problem. Anyways, so I don't have problems because I've heard people's nightmare stories about not being able to stash quorum. Is that I did spin up another low-power device. I had an old Intel NUC that fortunately had an i5 in there. Like, it's old, it's super old. but it had an i5 in there that supports virtualization, which was perfect because I basically just spun up Proxmox on there. And it is only for Arbiter only, as you say, but it is only to have an odd number of servers so that they can establish quorum. But then I was like, well, he can't just do this. So then I ended up putting 2 virtual machines on there. And those virtual machines are for the same idea. There are 2 of my server nodes for Kubernetes for 2 of my clusters because they also need to establish quorum. So it actually worked out. So my one Intel NUC is like quorum for everything, just in case. It's the breaking tie vote for 2 clusters of Kubernetes and also for Proxmox. And it worked out fantastic. I'm just like, that Intel NUC is just powerful enough to handle 2 virtual machines and running Proxmox on it. And it worked out perfect. I've been trying to squeeze some more juice out of it. And once I go with another VM, like I tried to put one worker node on there, and that's where it was just, the IO lag was getting way too high and it was just getting way too complicated. Anyways, that's exactly what I did. So, other good options are, old Mac Minis. Old Mac Minis are super good for this. If you can find an old, I think late 2012, those are the ones where you can actually still upgrade the RAM and upgrade a hard drive. Those are fantastic low-powered virtualization devices. Intel NUCs are. You'll just want to make sure that you have a CPU in there that supports VTD X. I'm going to go with X, or virtualization, so that you can actually not have to emulate virtualization. But that's what I did. It's been working out great. And that old Intel NUC machine that I had for the longest time hasn't done anything. It ran Windows for a long time, and it was just kind of my remote machine, just in case virtualization was down, that I would remote into and do some diagnostics remotely. But yeah, let's see. I think you found on Discord. Yeah, for sure. GPUs are inexpensive to get anywhere, or expensive to get anywhere. I totally agree. Not just in the cloud. Yeah, totally right. PC Geek. They're expensive everywhere. They are for sure. But it's so expensive to run a compute workload that's GPU enabled in the cloud. And hopefully it'll come down someday. I think it'll start to come down as cloud gaming starts taking off, because then, they'll have more of those types of nodes in the cloud for other types of workloads. Right now, I do need to do some video encoding, and I would love to move that to the cloud if I ever physically move homes. And I honestly think the cost on that isn't going to come down until cloud gaming really takes off, or until people move GPU accelerated workloads into the cloud, which right now they're not, because it's cost prohibitive. So it's going to take, Microsoft, Google, and an Amazon to do more video stuff in the cloud, like cloud gaming, for the price of those virtual machines that are GPU enabled, or Kubernetes clusters that have a GPU node in them, to come down. I think that's the only way. I thought maybe it should have by now, considering how many people do video transcoding for live streaming stuff in the cloud, but maybe they don't do it in the cloud. Maybe they do it in their own self-hosted cloud. I don't know. Monster back. Well, you can patch hack Win 10 to have multiple sessions. I didn't know that. Never tried that. I like it. There are third-party apps out there which let you have 2 users log in simultaneously on different sets of monitor, keyboard, and mouse. I like that too. I don't think they are cheap. It's probably against Microsoft's EULA though, maybe. Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah, if you could basically hack at the terminal service session to allow more than, the current user, one user on there, on the desktop version of Windows, yeah, you're all set. If not, use the server version of Windows. But I think he was talking about Linux, but I went down the Windows route because that's just what I relate to anyway. That's a link probably. The weird issue is my older 10100 switch is fine. Interesting. Was in the same rack as the one that went bad. Dude, yeah, the plot thickens. Geekmasher, the Threadripper server will use Proxmox. All right, with a few different VMs and services I run at home. Currently running a first-gen i7 server, so moving to new hardware is now really important before I lose everything. Yeah, for sure. But make sure you have backups too. Backups, and backups for your backups, off-site. I had to actually restore something from the cloud the other day. Haven't done that in probably a year or two. Because I deleted a folder, and I think I have 30-day histories. And I deleted a folder, which automatically, I use SyncThing to shuffle stuff around, and I use SyncThing to sync things onto other servers, which then back those up to the cloud and back them up elsewhere. But I deleted a folder, totally forgot that was SyncThing enabled. That deleted everything everywhere, and I was like, oh, that was not as awesome as I thought it was going to be. But then I had to restore from the cloud. But anyways, hopefully, Geek Masher, you have backups. And those backups also have backups. PC Geek, my 10100 is also PoE. The one which died was Gigabit PoE 8 port for my wireless APs. Man, you have new hardware in your future. You have new hardware in your future. Scient one, with people having UPS issues, here's an idea for a video would be on the network UPS tool nut for it to do a safe shutdown on things in a Proxmox cluster or other things connected to UPS could also have it controlled by the cluster of the Pi. Yeah, that's exactly what PC Geek does. I haven't hooked it up yet. I totally should because I was in a similar boat. That's exactly what happened to me the other day. My mind automatically went to, man, I wish I had more batteries, but it should be, no, invest the time in getting up and going. I have to coordinate turning them back on too, and I think that's a really tough problem. But maybe it's solved with Nut. If Nut knows whether or not the UPS has auxiliary power, external power restored, that would be fantastic. And I'd be asking myself, why haven't I done this already? Because that's the other problem with UPSs that I found, or just scheduling shutdowns, is you want them to come back on, but only if power has been restored to the UPS. And hopefully I can query my UPS with NUT to say, hey, is auxiliary power back on? And if so, then I can PoE or PXE all the things and send the magic packet and wake everything back up. That's been the tough challenge for me over my whole entire life of hosting stuff. Because most of the time I know how to shut things down. Bringing them back up is fine. And even saying in the BIOS to, shut down when the power is restored or turn back on when the power is restored, that option you see in the BIOS, that doesn't work great when you shut it down gracefully, unless the battery totally drains, because then the BIOS never thinks it's shut down gracefully. So anyways, I should look into that some more, because this is exactly what I needed earlier this week, and some of my services were down for a little bit because of that. And then I realized, this is other weird bug I noticed in Proxmox. One of my machines that's set to auto start just doesn't auto start. He's just like, nope, I'm not going to auto start. He's been on auto start ever since I created him. For some reason, he won't. So I got to figure that guy out too. Anyways, hey guys, I'm going to wrap it up. I did go a little bit over. I did say I'm gonna try to keep it to an hour, just so I'm not talking your guys' ears off. But also, I got a couple things going on this afternoon. I really appreciate you guys coming out today. Fun fact: YouTube use ASICs for video transcoding. YouTube uses their own custom ASIC. I don't doubt that at all. I don't doubt that at all. Google does a lot of custom stuff, and they built a lot of stuff for their own. They have special needs. I'll say that because they definitely do. But anyways, hey guys, thank you so much for joining today. Sorry I'm going to cut a little bit short, but I was saying I'm going to try to keep them to an hour. I'm going to try to start on time and end on time. And if I start a little late, then I'll end a little bit late. So I appreciate you guys coming out. If you haven't already, I would absolutely invite you to join our Discord. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, PC Geek. We have a Discord community full of, I think we're up to 4,200-ish or so members. People who just like tech, who just like home labs, who like networking, who like all kinds of stuff, software development, or just tech in general. We have channels on all kinds of things. Some are high tech, some are low tech. Channels on animals, funny things, all kinds of stuff. So there's a lot of tech chit chat that goes on throughout the day. So it's not all just problems, and it's obviously not all about me, because I don't want it to be about me. It just so happens that I started the server. I'll just say it that way. It's a community run server and community owned server. I just started it, and I own it, but that doesn't mean it's all about me, because it's absolutely not. But if you have some time, I would love for you to join. Dude, Sigor, resub, Prime, 8 months. Thank you so much. And I think I missed a follow really quick. Eins Noodle, thanks for follow, appreciate it. But absolutely join if you can. Yeah, PC Geek 4271. A lot of people in Discord. I love it. Thank you so much for joining. I would encourage you to join. The conversation doesn't have to end here. You can absolutely continue the conversation there, or you can lurk a lot, like I do, because I do a ton. But I learn a ton from everybody in there. I will see you guys absolutely next Saturday, and I might have something out for you here in a little bit. Have a great day wherever you are. Hopefully you have better weather than we've been having in the Midwest. It's so hot. I'm so over summer, and it hasn't even started, but that's just me. But have a great weekend. Yeah, stay cool. Darren, our Authorin, I almost called you your real name. I think it slipped out. Good to see you, man. Hope you're well. Yeah, absolutely. Join the Discord. I'll see you guys next week. If you have any questions, hit me up on Discord or Twitter. And thanks so much. And as always, be good to each other. Take care, folks.